Welcome to my 1972 Porsche 914 project. Wanted to welcome you along as I do an amateur rebuild on this car. A lot of things I've been able to find on the internet while trying to put it back together, but as usual, there are some things that just aren't out there. So this is me fumbling along and trying to share some of the things that I've learned as we go along. It's a 72 with the original 1.7 liter. It was painted in a couple different colors when I got it, so with some spray paint rattle cans, we did some blending to try to make it match. In this project, I wanted to share some of the things that we did with the window regulator. Started by taking off the door panel, using some trim removal pieces, working your way around the outside, and then in just a minute I'll have to remove the trim ring that's around the inside door handle. It has a Phillips head screw on the inside, you can see here, that has to be removed, and then you simply slide it towards the front of the car. Once that's removed and you have all the clips loosened, you can simply lift up on the door card and it'll come off. You can see here I had previously installed some plastic with a vapor barrier on the inside, so I just peeled that back off. This is actually a carpet saver I bought from Home Depot. It's somewhat sticky on the back side. You can roll it out, trim it with some scissors, and that allows you to create a barrier between the door card and the inside of the door. Next, taking off the window crank. It has a Phillips head screw on it as well. You can remove that. I had to bring the door glass down in order to access the two screws that mount the glass itself to the window regulator. These are the screws underneath of the door. This is what attaches the triangle glass. You have to actually thread that back in using a straight screwdriver, getting it in so it'll move past the bottom of the door when you go to lift it up. Then you have two bolts here. I believe those were 10 millimeter that you have to remove in order to pull out the triangle glass. And that weather stripping does seat down in there pretty hard, so you have to wiggle it some to break it loose. Once you get it about halfway up, you have to reach inside, and that same straight head screw, you have to back it out and pull it all the way out to be able to remove the trim out from the door. At that point I was able to reach in and lift the glass out. You can see here, this is the front track that rides up and down on the guide. You can see the two little, actually there's two at the top and two at the bottom, little bearings that roll on those pins. They had already fallen off when I pulled it out, so you'll see later I have to reinstall those, popping them back on before I put it back in the track. So these are the screws that had to be removed in order to be able to get the regulator out of the door itself. So there's one underneath, and then the ones that we saw there on the top. And then this is where the pin will actually lift up out of the bottom of the door. So what you're looking at there, the rod itself is sitting down in a rubber bushing. And that's what it looks like once it's removed. You can tell mine's in really rough shape. I'm not sure if it's ever been removed from the door. It has a lot of surface rust on it that was causing it not to operate properly. The little plastic round pin there, I know that you can buy that if that needs to be replaced or if yours is brittle. Mine seemed to be in decent shape, so I left it on. I then used some degreaser at this point and a soft wire brush in order to be able to scrape out the rust that had built up over time. I did both sides, and then I was able to use the crank handle and actually move the inner workings back and forth to access the track better. Not sure if this was the best product, but I ended up using this dry lube that I bought at Home Depot. Filled the track, moved it back and forth, got everything moving properly as it should. It no longer was binding up like it originally did. Then I went ahead and hit the vacuum inside the door to get any of the debris that had built up over the years. I did decide at this point too to go ahead and put a sound barrier inside the door. I had some left over from the firewall and some that I was putting on the base, so I went ahead and put it in the doors as well. Here you'll see the little clip piece, and then there's the little round bearing that sits on top that allows it to roll up and down. They simply clip on. Once you get inside the track, it has no way of coming back out. Here's the bracket that holds the glass itself to the regulator, and it'll have 2 Phillips head screws that goes in it. I went ahead and put some more of that dry lubricant on that as well, since it has a plastic piece that moves back and forth as you roll the glass up and down. And at this point, everything's moving 100 times better than it was originally. Putting the bolts back in for the triangle glass. At this point also, you want to make sure that the triangle glass, the angle of it, sits good with the A-pillar. If it does not, if it needs to be moved in and out, you can use that Phillips head screw at the very bottom of the door that I'll show you here. You can put it in or out, and that'll change the angle of the triangle glass. Then there is going to be a nut that goes back over it to lock it in place. Here I am using the roll of the carpet saver to go back over the inside of the door before putting the card on. Unfortunately for me, the weather was a little cold, didn't want to stick all that well. When it's heated up, it's definitely a lot more sticky, holds a lot better. Once the door card goes on though, it holds it in place anyway, so not a big deal. So to reinstall the door card, you can do the opposite that you originally did. I had one of the little pins that had pulled out when I originally removed it, so I'm putting that back in place first. If you have any that are broken, you can easily replace those by twisting them in place. So I put the top on first. I pull it down into place once I get it in the right position. Once it's dropped down, make your way around, making sure that the pins are lined up with the holes before pressing in. They're pretty easily broken. And once they're lined up, press in, you'll hear it click into place, and then you're all set. And then you can go back, put your trim on around the door handle, and then your glass crank as well back on with that Phillips screw. To slide the decorative trim on, simply pull out on the door handle and the door lock itself. It allows you enough room to slide it back in place, and then insert your screw. Appreciate you guys watching. If I have any other updates where I'm unable to find things on the internet, I'll be sure to make a video and place them here.